We are live. What's up, guys? Welcome to chat number 19. I'm here with HootHootTCG, uh, co-owner of Community Cards up in Massachusetts. He recently opened a card store with a few friends in the past, beginning of the year?
March.
March?
So just over a month ago.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking to him all about that process and how it's been going for him, and we'll take your questions and talk about the market and all that fun stuff as well. But first, if you would like to let everyone know where they can support you or where they should follow you before we hop in and get started, that would be awesome.
Sure. Generally, for now, our online presence kind of sticks to just socials. So we just have Instagram where we have a Community Cards MA, and that's where you can find us, and that's where we'll be posting usually most of our updates and stuff. Eventually, we want to get into the online space, but we want to make sure that the physical space is done correctly, and then we can start moving to the next thing.
Yes, and that link is actually should be pinned to the top of chat. So to the Instagram for Community Cards MA. So if you want to follow him, click that link at the top of the chat and follow him over on Instagram. So opening a card store in March. When did you guys know that, or when did you guys make the decision to kind of partner together and open this thing?
So initially, they had it was just the two of them, husband and wife. They had been looking at the store, and at this time, I was still thinking of moving. This was in the period where I was like, oh, I could go to Florida, I could go to North Carolina, I could go to Texas and stuff. And I was in the middle of those talks. So for me, being part of the store was very much a like 0 out of 0. Like, wasn't gonna happen. I wasn't even gonna be anywhere near like 100 or like 200, 500 miles of this place. Things fell through, and I kind of just I don't know. There was a show that we had both gone to. I was going just to attend to uh talk to people, maybe buy some cards here and there. I think I bought some tag teams and stuff that day. And at the end of the show, I was kind of just they were leaving, and I had kind of just said, "Oh, maybe the Texas thing doesn't happen." And they kind of my buddy Steph, he turned around and was like, "Hey, let me know about that, because if it doesn't, we'd love to talk to you about possibly partnering us up with us with the store." And end of I thought about it a lot those next few days, and then like a couple days later, it just fell through. And then end of that weekend, we were like, I think I was just at the point where I wanted to get something started, because I had been a lot of talk of like, oh, I'm gonna start this, and everything kept falling through, and it was just like, this seems like it makes sense, and it's with people that I trust and I can respect their the way they run business and stuff. And so I was just like, let's do it. And then this was probably uh beginnings of February, probably around February 16th was when we had decided. And then we drew up all the paperwork, doing all the hardest part is, I think, matching inventory, and doing all that, because kind of for us it's like a 33.33% split. So that means that we're like, each of us, so the way we run it is each of us count as one individual. They do not count as a pair just because they're together. It's more of everyone is their own individual person. So for them, it's always more like they're putting in 66% of whatever. But obviously that just works out better for everybody. So everyone's counted as an individual. So that's when we started looking into that. And then February, we didn't start renovating or doing anything with the store, like touching it, because it was still under the old owner, until February 28th was the first time we touched it. And from the 28th to 9th, we were working nonstop to make sure that it was renovated, painted, and like we put in a lot of new additions, built the cases and everything. And we did that in like 2 or 3 weeks.
And you guys, tell me if I'm wrong, but you guys took over for an existing card store. So it was an existing hobby store that had like distribution and stuff like that. And you took over that space from the previous owner and is now your store.
That's correct. So that was why it was a little more tantalizing and a little more like made sense, was that there weren't these initial obstacles that a lot of stores have when they first open. where they need to get distribution, and then, well, you have distribution, but do you have allocation? Do you have a history with these distributors? And we kind of got a head start on that because we had all of that already to start with.
When you take over a distribution account, do you have to like prove that you're going to be spending about as much as the store prior to kind of like justify to the distribution that you're going to be the same sort of size account, or is there anything there? Or is it just like, yeah, we just take over the account and whatever we spend, and there's no like?
It's pretty much honestly the latter. I mean, it was kind of just, we just took over the account, and they just, I mean, I imagine they just believe that whatever the old account spent, we'll probably be doing the same thing considering we're the same operation. But realistically, I mean, the old store did a lot of different TCGs, and we pretty much cut 90% of the TCGs that they were running, and we cut down to just mainly Pokemon, and we're doing Magic and One Piece right now. And then we just started a little bit of Gundam.
Okay.
So we're kind of limiting it to that, and we want to just slowly expand if it really makes sense, but we want to stay where we feel comfortable in that sense.
Yeah. So Gundam obviously isn't cards. That's more of like a.
No, it's cards.
Oh, is it the Gundam, like a Gundam
TCG?
TCG?
Yeah,
Oh,
just
I thought you were talking like the figurines, like the.
Well, the Gundam
TCG
TCG
build.
hasn't technically officially released yet. All they've
Mm.
had so far have been like pre-release, or like not pre-release. These would be like pre-constructed deck events and stuff. There was one beforehand that had like a pre-con deck or something that was like $450 to buy per person.
Damn.
This was like the beta decks or something, and we didn't get into that. That was like during the February time when the old owner was still there. But we did get starter decks that we had for the people who wanted to learn to play, and that was actually today. And it was just for free. The distributor sends you like 16 pre-constructed decks, and then you just give those out for free and have people learn to play the game.
Okay. And in terms of, is your store big enough to have like pre-release events? Do you have enough like seating? How is it all kind of laid out to where you could take advantage of like pre-release events for Pokemon and stuff like that?
So we can host up to 30 to 34 people at our store in terms of play space. We had 28 people for our first Pokemon pre-release for holy, why am I blanking?
Journey Together?
For Journey Together.
Okay.
Holy, yeah. And so we had 28. We were supposed to have 30, but 2 dropped last second. But we could have hosted like 36. But we just wanted to make sure there was space for like the adults and everything like that who were coming in, and then still space for people who wanted to come in to buy stuff. But generally 30 is kind of where we'd like to be.
Okay. And then is it 16? Is that like the minimum amount of seats you have to have for Pokemon to grant you like a pre-release?
I actually have no idea, to be honest.
I feel like it was
I can't
16 or
imagine
18.
I can't imagine it has to be 16. I imagine they would allow you less than 16. I imagine, because there are some events that'll have like 6 people, 8 people, like smaller stores that just have like a table or 2.
Yeah.
And they host pre-releases. So I'm not fully sure. I think in that sense, I wasn't really part of that process because when we were changing over the store, it was Steph, one of my partners, who actually took care of that with Pokemon. And it was actually easy to do all that with distributors, but Pokemon was actually being annoying because they were just kind of like, what do you mean someone's taking over this area? Changing the account was a big problem for some reason, but we figured it out and got it all sorted out.
That's good.
Yeah.
So most of what you're doing sounds like singles and then packs for these different TCGs, or what's your inventory look like on what you offer at the store?
So right now our inventory is Pokemon. We do everything. We do singles, sealed, graded. We do it all. And then for Magic and One Piece right now, we're just doing sealed and doing pack. We're doing packs or sealed product, or like fully sealed product boxes. And that's because we want to see first how our player base is and who is actually going to be constantly in the store for those things before we start going all in on like the singles and different things like that. Because obviously we're not online either, so at that point that's just kind of a sunk cost at that point, and we're just wasting money for a player base that's not proven.
Yeah. Yeah. How did you? Because I assume that your ownership split you made it sound like it's like 33% per
Yeah,
person. Like each individual is has the same amount of buy-in, I guess.
right,
Uh, Obviously, with having a store, you're taking on overhead. You're
right.
taking on more responsibilities just to keep the store full stocked. You're always kind of thinking about how to keep the ship running. You can't really take a month off. You can't let it kind of die down because you gotta keep things in stock. um was that a hard transition from what you were doing previously, which was basically like flipping, going to local shows, and moving into something that's a lot more like on all the time?
Um, yes and no. I mean, the difference is that we technically aren't on all the time either way. Because even with the store only runs Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So we aren't open every day of the week. So we're only open. I mean, we've changed the schedule now, but originally we were making sure there was twos in the store every day. But now we've kind of this week actually we moved into a model of we should do one person in the store at a time, and then each person has one full day off from both their full time job and the Pokemon thing.
Mm.
And I think that's been, at least for what it felt like this week, it felt like a really good transition in terms of like not getting overloaded, because I think it was starting to get there every now and then to each person.
Yeah, because you guys are also doing full-time jobs on
Right,
top of running a store 4 days a week.
right,
Obviously, it helps to have three different people who can, you know, uh, man the store at different hours. And like you said, you still have days off, even with both those positions
right.
going at the same time. Um, yeah, definitely helps in that scenario to have partners, because
I
if you were doing it yourself and your full-time job plus 4 days a week, it probably would have been really tough.
Any one less person in this scenario, I don't think this. I think we would have been like this is we would have it would have just not worked out.
Yeah.
I think with the three was a perfect amount of people, and yeah, I mean sooner than expected. We were already thinking of possibly having at least one or two employees for possibly opening up more days, or possibly just to make sure like if someone did want to have one extra day or something, they could have someone there, or other jobs that we would otherwise not want to do ourselves. But
So obviously it's going well so far.
well enough. I mean, it's about where I expected it to go. I mean,
Are there a lot of people that go there that went there prior? Are you getting a lot of new people, or is it a lot of existing like older customers? And how do they feel about the transition from the old owner to you guys?
so we definitely do get people who were at the old store, but we also get people who went to the old store, stopped going, and now go to this one, and they're very happy. So they're coming back more and more often. Um, Based on where it is, unfortunately, a lot of the crowds that we would otherwise have, because most of the shows are on the other side of Massachusetts,
Mm.
and that means that a lot of the crowd that knows us from our 3 years plus of vending and everything are not who we're getting at the store. So what we're getting at the store is pretty much all new clients, all people we haven't interacted really with at all and everything. So it's been really nice that we still, even with that, we've disadvantaged. We're still like doing pretty well, I think. So
Yeah.
it's nice. Yeah.
Are you attending a lot of local shows still to either source for the store, or do you guys set up a table at any of the shows? Are you doing like more outreach for the store on weekends where there is shows?
So we guaranteed twice a month are going to shows. We have two shows that run once a month that are the two bigger ones in Massachusetts, and we attend those every single month. Or yeah, we attend both of those every month. Sometimes we'll do three. And then we have the collecticons and card parties coming up after that as well. So shows are still part of our business.
Cool. You mentioned collecticons and card parties. Are you gonna try and also go to those, like travel a long ways? Are you sticking to like East Coast? Are you gonna try and go to all of them, or what's
So
your
we're
plans
doing
for collecticons?
both card parties.
Okay.
And that was mostly a thing of kind of came from me having already booked my tables at card party a year in advance.
Yeah.
And it just converted into, well, we were able to get an extra table for the Orlando or for the Tampa one. So we'll probably have 2 of us there at the Tampa one. And then for the Seattle one, I'll probably just be going alone. And then we have 2 that we're doing in New Jersey, because we can drive to that one. And that one we're probably going to try and do maybe 3 to 5 tables and just have half a section or something with just us. And then we'll have all 3 of us there at the same time and just close the store that weekend for those 2 weeks. And then the only other 2 are Charlotte, which I'm going to by myself. And then, is that the only one? Card parties, New Jersey's, and Charlotte. I think that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see you in Charlotte.
Yeah, definitely.
I'll probably see you at one of the New Jersey ones. The one hang out with Bierski.
The first one, then.
The first one, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even that one, we're closing the store on that entire week, because we're like, if we're all going, what's the point? We can have a mini vacation. And I was like, well, I was closing anyway because I'm going Bierski Palooza, and I'm going like on Tuesday or something. So
yeah. So, I'm trying to think, because I almost this last weekend. It's funny. I called myself the Pokey Schizo this last weekend because I was just on and off and on and off and on and off. I was messaging Mason like, oh, this there was a location that became available near where I had my consignment space in the comic store, and it was reasonably priced. Cool spot. It's like it's almost dungeony. It's a little bit like we have these old buildings that have storefronts that are like kind of half in the basement and half above the basement. And then we have, storefronts on the main level, and then it's like apartments above. And this one was one of those kind of, you go down a couple steps into like this,
play area.
Yeah. And it was cool. It's small, but it would have been fun. It would have been a nice like starter spot. So I was like all over the place. I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to do it. But then I have to do this, but then I have to do that. And it was just like 24 hours of pros and cons lists in my head. Like, okay, what's the pro of this? What's the con of this? And one of the cons that I came to was, and one of the main reasons why I didn't want to do it was because I have been traveling a lot more, and I have been going to collecticons, and I have been hanging out with friends more often, and I got a trip planned to Japan and all this stuff. And it's like, I wouldn't feel like I could do that, at least for the first while, because it would only be me. I wouldn't have any employees. So I would be tied down to basically being there every weekend, unless I close the store. But then when you close the store, you're not generating money for the store. So how do you justify spending the money if you're closing the store all the time to travel? So it was kind of like this weird, back and forth in my brain of trying to figure out whether I wanted to do it or not. But I guess how do you justify that? Like, you've talked a couple times now about closing the store for a week or closing the store for a weekend and that type of stuff. Do you worry? Do you break it down like, okay, to make rent, we have to do at least this much in sales every day, and if we're going to shut down the store for a week, we're gonna have to make that up in other days or whatever? Or are you guys just like cooking so hard that you're just like, yeah, we'll be fine?
Well, it would be different if we were closing down because we're all going on vacation. We're closing down to go sell. So we're closing down.
True, yeah.
We're closing down to make money.
Yeah, you're
and
doing
we
business
expect
while
to
being closed.
Right. We expect to
Yeah.
generate more money than we would if we were open, which is the whole idea of wanting to close down. That's the only reason we'd close down. Otherwise, we'd be doing what we're doing in the other days where, say, for when I'm going to Seattle, I'm going to be at Seattle by myself. Someone else will be at the store opening.
Yeah.
So generally, the only time we're really closing fully would be the 2 New Jersey ones where we're all going.
Yeah.
But we'd still have the same thing. I mean, we don't open Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So there's still that thing of, well, we're paying for 3 days of rent a week that we're not even using. So we're not generating any money on those days. Because those days we're not like open, we're not selling online or anything. But I mean, so we'd rather not overwork ourselves and like make sure that what we're doing makes sense, and then we can expand, and then we can open for more days. Like that's not right now. The amount that we make is good enough to just justify still having the store and doing the way we're doing, and we're not rushing to add more days to the week.
And since you guys are keeping your full-time jobs, are you guys, and I'll just, are you, because
Right.
who knows what your partners are doing, but are you, do you take money out of the store, or is everything right now, like you can live on your job, everything right now goes back into the store to like build up the store?
So actually, yeah, none of us take any money from the shop. The shop is, for this entire first year, is going to be, all the money goes right back to the shop. We don't want any of it. We want the shop to grow to a point where it's super self-sustaining and has no need for any of us
Yeah.
in term, like financially, I mean.
I do think that is something that is tough for a lot of people. It's tough for me, is
Mhm.
figuring out like at what point do you start paying yourself? Like at what point, like I don't pay myself. Everything still goes back into Pokemon. And inventory grows and sales become more, but everything I make still goes back into Pokemon. Now, I pay myself occasionally when it's like, okay, my car broke down, let me get it, let's pull the trigger and get a new car, or hey, I want to go to Japan, let me pull a couple grand out of the business to go to Japan, like that type of stuff. It's like occasionally I'll do something like that, but it's not like a consistent, I'm paying myself this amount of money every month out of the profits of my business. At what point do you think that with your store's progression that you would start actually like paying yourself from it?
I mean, we already put like a soft one on there. I mean, after a year, generally is when we want to start at least paying ourselves something.
Yeah.
We'll probably be switching the way our business is structured in order to make that happen. And then, whereas right now we're just an LLC, but we're not taking any money, so it doesn't really make any difference for our taxes and everything. But next year we'll be an S corp, and then we'll pay ourselves like a general salary, and then whatever's left over, like if we want to pay ourselves like an extra money on top of whatever we want to give ourselves for a salary, that would be reasonable. We'd be paying ourselves that money on top of it. But I mean, there's always going to be money going back into the business, whether it's even like after the first year, it'll still be, we only distribute 50% of profits, split 3 ways, and the other 50% goes right back to the business. So the business takes a majority of everything from us.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Like kind of separating it out like that. Like,
Yeah.
okay, this percentage of profits goes in the business, this percentage of the profits gets split. That's a good, yeah, that's a solid structure. I never really thought about it that way. But that does make sense to like make sure that a certain amount is still being funneled in so that you continue to grow. What are the 2 better card shows in Massachusetts you were talking about, Benji?
So I mean, it's not exactly the better ones. I mean, they all have really great hosts and everything. The thing more is just that they, from what I've seen, have the most foot traffic right now, and that would be Best Flippin' and Card or PokeCon. The thing is, though, there are a lot of shows that have been popping up in Massachusetts, especially in the last year. The last year or two we've probably had like 6 or 7 new shows in the area. So it's very, and all the people are like former vendors that are like awesome. And it's just a thing of like, it was actually a dilemma for us for a long time. It was like, well, what shows do we do for the, like, because we can't do every show as a store, and we need some days off. So there's PokeCon, there's Best Flippin', there's a South Coast Collectibles show. There is Steve Power Collectibles. He has a show. It's the Kanto card show. We have one that just started in Rhode Island with Pokebondo. The Pokemart card show. There's like Front Row card show. There's so many card shows here in Massachusetts. It's hard to even shout all of them out, but it just became a thing of which ones are the most consistent in terms of scheduling and how far out they schedule from and have the most foot traffic right off the bat. And we were just like, these seem to be the ones that we can most consistently like lock in and factor into our schedule. That makes sense for us, and we can have on top of collect con card parties and stuff.
Yeah, we have. I mean, if you're how far are you willing to travel typically for a card show? Like, is there a cutoff where it's like I'm not driving 2 hours each way, or is like what?
Depends. I guess it depends how big the card show is. You know what I mean? Like if the foot traffic's there, I mean, it would make sense. But then again, there's a show in Connecticut that's called EC3, which to a lot of people in the Massachusetts area, I've never been, and it's been 3 years, and I haven't been to a single one. And a lot of people in the area would say that's probably one of the biggest ones in the East Coast. And I've never been to one, and it's in Connecticut. It's like 3-hour drive or something, and for some reason, I haven't made my way over to it. So I guess there definitely is a cutoff because that's supposed to be like a big show, and I'm still not willing to go all the way there. But to be fair, they also always schedule same day as Collecticon. So I will take Collecticon over that show any day when they charge more for a table than Collecticon. So I'm like,
Yeah. I think if you really wanted to and you were willing to travel like 2-3 hours, you could probably do a card show in North Carolina every weekend. There's like 3 main companies, I guess, that put together card shows, and yeah, I think if you're willing to do the driving, you could do just about every weekend in North Carolina, but I am not willing to do the driving.
My general drive, if I was doing a show, was generally 30 to 1 hour, 30 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
And I could get a card show in every single weekend. There was there was like a month and a half, 2 months where I did a card show every single week. And that was including Collecticons and stuff. So every week I was off to a different show. And that was a lot.
Yeah, we had one today. I think it was in Salisbury, North Carolina, but that's like 2 hours away. But it looked cool. It looked like, they were having some fun. So do you worry in terms of inventory if you're doing card shows, but you also have to keep the show stocked? How do you make sure that you have enough inventory for selling at shows and stocking the store?
Well, one of the big positives that a lot of people say about card stores is that people do come in to sell collections. That helps, but we are also, I mean, those are like small bits here and there. I mean, you're not generally getting someone coming in with like 10, 15, 20 grand collections just randomly. A lot of it is people reaching out to our email, or we just seek out collections. But I think we've been very fortunate in building out our network in terms of like just talking to people, like not even with any sense of wanting to buy their collections or anything, and then just having good conversation, and then just reaching back and being like, hey, if there's anyone I'd like to sell to, it would be you. And then we've had a lot of luck in that sense, where we've had a lot of those come by. But we haven't reached any problems yet. I think right now we have a lot of inventory, and that's what a lot of customers have like said when they come in, is like, wow, you guys have a lot of everything, which is very awesome to hear. But we definitely, that is another like thing that makes us a little hesitant about selling online, because selling online appears to be where you get a lot more sales and a lot more reach, but then you're also stretching your inventory a lot thinner at that point.
Yeah, I remember before you started at the store, I remember you were kind of leaning into, especially at shows, the kind of the plushies and the accessories and the different things that you were picking up off of. Was it AliExpress?
Yeah,
is that where a lot of it? Yeah. Are you still doing a lot of that? Do you guys sell plushies and different accessories and stuff at the shop, or are you focused mainly on cards right now?
We have some of that there. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, you have to change up. Not everyone wants a card. I mean,
Yep.
a lot of kids want plushies and stuff like that. I mean, yeah, plushies, keychains. We obviously had to do the TCG stuff, so we have binders, obviously, which we've been ordering more of because a lot of people want the top loader binders, and then sleeves, semi-rigids, everything pretty much. We have to get all the supplies and just order those in bulk and just have them available for people.
Yeah, that makes sense. We'll ask, are you going to lean into streaming at any point? Do you have any plans to start up a whatnot, eBay Live, Fanatics, some sort of account to stream from the store or as a part of the store?
So yes, that is something that is a possibility for us. I think it would probably be the third tier of our expansion. It would probably go online sales and then it would go into streaming. And as of right now, I think right now we've kind of talked about possibly Adele wanting to stream a little bit, which is one of my other partners. And but realistically, from what I'm seeing and from what I think, it's more likely going to end up being we hire somebody to be a streamer for us and then go from there.
I know a real great guy that's on eBay Live.
It's
No, yeah,
definitely a
that's
possibility. I mean, the thing that comes down to it, a lot of it, I mean, employees streaming, anything like that, is you have to trust them.
yeah,
Trust and everything. And I think from what I've seen, most of the people that I see that like, oh, I would trust these people to run these things or just send them these things and not have to worry about whether or not I'm getting paid out correctly or they're taking anything, is a lot of people who I've met that aren't in Massachusetts.
yeah.
So it's like, well, screw me,
Yeah, yeah. A lot of the streamers we know are not in the area, not in that area at least.
Yeah, it's even not even just people who are currently streaming. There are also people who don't stream right now that would be amazing candidates that are just like they're not in Massachusetts, so it makes it the extra hurdle of shipping things to them and doing all that.
Yeah,
And not having the ability to well, I think the biggest minus is like if say for example that something's not doing well on stream or something, you can't just you're paying to ship it back. You just paid twice over to have it shipped. So that sucks.
yeah,
Or you're kind of, like there's no way to be able to like dynamically move inventory where like, oh, today I'm actually feeling like this inventory will do better in the stream. So you can just drive over to the store or something, pick up these inventories and then just stream that way. Or we're like, oh, we want to sell this stuff in the store for an event or something. We can just go pick it up from the streams place and do that. So it's like, I don't know. There's a lot less flexibility when you're not in the same area.
yeah. So that was the third prong. The second prong was online sales. Do you guys not currently have like an eBay page or any of that stuff? Or
we have our own personal ones, but none of them that have been designated to the company. I think one of our accounts for each, the TCG and the eBay, will just turn into the company's account, and then we'll go from there. But for now, we haven't done any of it.
Okay. And do you guys still operate like if you wanted to buy a collection,
Mm-hmm.
And you wanted to sell it on your personal eBay, I assume that you'd still be able to do that.
Well, it depends. Are they using? Well, to be fair, I have two eBay accounts. So we're probably just going to turn one of my eBay accounts into a seller account, and I still have the other one.
Right.
But also the way collection buys work is generally anything that we're buying as a collection, the store will always get first dibs on negotiation and buying it. If the store passes on it, we can choose to use our own money to buy that, but that's fully separate from the business. And then selling that, we're not selling that at the company or at the business or anything. You're finding your own way to sell it or do it or something else. But if you're at a show, you're at the show for the company. If you're at the store, you're at the store for the company. You're just not like we're all doing our own individual thing.
Okay, so at the beginning of this, did you guys like
Combined
pool funds together to have like a store fund essentially, to where you can buy and sell and collections and all that stuff as a partnership, instead of like everyone just kind of doing their own thing and then all of it gets brought into the store and then trying to track it is a nightmare. Like what what's the process there, I guess?
I mean, how so? What do you mean? Because tracking it, we're tracking everything we buy. Not individually itemized, obviously, but every collection we buy is we have in sheets and everything for expenses and all of that. So everything's being tracked and everything in that sense, and it's all just going through as store funds and stuff.
I guess what I'm curious about is, at the beginning, was there like a pool created that like you, one third that you contributed, one third that your other partners contributed, and then that's the money that's being spent on collections and stuff for the store, or is it more?
So let's see. So I mean, we did contribute a lot. A lot of inventory was mostly contributed initially. So we each held back for like a month and a half. Like we had inventory that was just held back. And so when we would go to shows, we would go with just like plushies, keychains, and stuff. And we're just really promoting the store, giving away like free bulk to people and stuff, and just handing out flyers and everything for our grand opening. So we had a month and a half of just collection buys and stuff that we were all pooling into. So we had a decent amount when starting the store opened up and everything. That obviously doesn't get factored in as cash; it gets factored in as inventory. But that was good. And then there were a few collection buys at the beginning where we individually just put in the money for it, and then the company is just paying us out as the time goes by, and the company is
Gotcha.
just reimbursing you for that money. So in a way, it's like you're loaning money to a business.
Gotcha.
But I think at this point we've gotten to the point I think now where the company can stand on its own feet and doesn't need us to pool in financials for it.
So before the store opened, you were going to shows and just kind of promoting it and doing buys. Was it like you set up a table and it was like buying collections, buying Pokemon cards, like trying to grow more of an inventory before the doors opened, or was it more like just outreach marketing? Was it a little bit of both?
It was mostly just outreach marketing. I mean, we were buying, but it was very lightly at shows. Most of our buys was like private sales with people for like big collections and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I think most of the people with the big collections aren't generally coming into the shows wanting to sell their full collection. A lot of times, if that happens, it's like they sold you a piece of it and they're like, oh, I have a lot more at home that I would like to sell. And then you negotiate that way. But generally, a lot of the bigger collections are like people who are privately messaging you, like, hey, I'd like to buy this. Or like we post and they're like, hey, I'd like to sell all this and stuff like that.
Yeah. What were some of the biggest surprises opening your store? Like, what were some of the biggest hurdles in the beginning of, um, the biggest roadblocks that you had to get over?
Oh, man. It's a lot more work than you fully expect it to be, I will say. I think initially, obviously, like the most initial thing that you notice is that there is so much paperwork involved. Like you have to go to your city, you have to go to the state, you have to get your EIN, you have to like make sure that you have the commercial property lease signed. There's just so much paper because you have the distributors too. You have the paperwork that you have to sign individually for just the LLC in general, and then for breaking up the percentages on the company, setting up your bank account, credit cards, debit cards, and all of that. It's a lot more paperwork than you imagine you have to keep track of, to be honest. And then after that, it's like how much time you have to put in. Like if you want to do renovations, there was a lot of time put into that and a lot more. Like I'd estimate like, oh, this is going to take us maybe like 3 hours. It ends up taking us like 13. It's like there's a lot of extra elbow grease that you don't realize you have to put in. Um, what else? I mean, I guess being on it whenever you're in there, you have to be on it all the time in terms of like watching people and obviously presenting a nice, inviting environments for everybody. So you can't really have a bad day, I guess.
Yeah. Um, I assume that you have set up well, I shouldn't assume anything. Do you guys have security measures for your store? I know that's kind of a big thing with
that is 100% security. That's another thing. Security, insurance. We have like good insurance, good security. That was like no brainer. Like that you have to do well on, I think.
Yeah.
Making sure everything's secure when you're dealing with high value stuff is definitely something you have to do. I mean, most of our cards that are 20 plus are all in cases that are along the wall, and same with our slabs. And everything sealed is either inside of a cabinet or it's behind us at the counter. So there's no real. The only thing that's available to the general public that they can grab at any point would be, I mean, we have binders that are like $1 to $5, $5 to $20, but those are at the counter as well. And then we have plushies and like t-shirts and bags and stuff. Well, no t-shirts. What am I saying? Just plushies, bags, keychains, and stuff like that.
Okay. And then one thing that I thought about was, do I take all of my slabs or my higher value stuff at the end of the night and like stash it somewhere, and then in the morning pull them back out again? Or do I just leave them all up and kind of hope that nothing happens? Or, and obviously I wanted to put cameras in there and do all that, but it was like, man, I don't know how paranoid is too paranoid, or am I just being safe essentially with
No, you're
with
having
stuff?
thoughts that literally everyone else probably has. I mean, I know we've had them, and it's stuff that we work through, and our exact process is something we do some things like that as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, definitely you're not over paranoid, and it's definitely seems like it's more work, but it's more security at the same time.
Yeah.
So helps a lot. I mean, we have people who live above our building. So it's like a commercial spot below and there's people above. So that helps a lot in terms of like having even that as another layer of security, is there's literally people living all above this entire area.
Gotcha.
And there's a police station like 4 minutes away. So
that's always good too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one nice thing about the store location uptown is the police station's literally like 1 block over. So it's super close, and the fire station is like a couple blocks down that way, and yeah, everything's kind of in one spot. Hive Mind is wondering, what are the shop rules if you catch someone stealing?
Well, I mean, exactly the way you have those emojis set. I mean, we have a fire axe just sitting in the back room, and if we catch you stealing, we cut off one of your hands, the one that you used to steal, and that
There you go.
really deters people.
There you go.
I mean, the real thing is actually just, I mean, pretty standard. I mean, what it is, I mean, we'll call the police and everything, and then that person just banned from the store. I mean, pretty simple.
Yeah. Yeah. The comic shop guy used to have a little, I forget what they're called. I just tried to Google it, but it was essentially like a short, it wasn't a baton, but it was like it was
Wait,
more
hold
like,
on.
yeah, it was
on.
it was like a wood, like a training sword or like a baton or some shit that he would keep behind the desk. It's like, God damn, bro, like that's his version of security.
Did he ever use it?
I don't think so.
That's crazy.
But yeah, he was, yeah, I don't think he had any cameras in that place. Big front window, big window in the door, and he just had like this baton thing with a handle that was apparently security. Yeah,
That's
he was a character.
Yeah, I mean, we have reinforced windows, and then the windows on the side of the building are all with bars and everything. So, it's wouldn't be a very easy place to get into, I guess. But
yeah,
I mean, there's a will, there's a way, I guess, for most people.
Yeah. Oh, what's up, Grimer? What's up, Hive Mind? What's up, Thrifty and Chef? How's it going, guys?
When are you going to quit your night job so you can play Card Shop Sim and chill and voice all the time? To be honest, as much as it's kind of a meme, it's actually very much a very real like thought that is had. It's like we've already all had the thought like, when is the point where one of us is just like, should we just have someone like, if someone quits their job and does this full time, like what is the like what's that structure change into in terms of like pay and different things like that? Because obviously it's a lot different. But I mean, we've all considered like, okay, this is could potentially be something that one of us do or all of us do full time or something. It would just mean that we would grow more of it. I imagine if we did full time, it would be a lot of eBay, TCG player, and then I imagine streaming, I guess, would just take over those slots.
Do you have a number? Is it like, okay, if I can consistently make this much profit over the next 6 months, I would do it? Or is it more like,
I think I'm too risk averse to take 6 months at face value, especially during a boom. I would take 6 months when the market is shit and we're making a certain amount.
yeah,
But 6 months during a time, like even, I mean, I know Ernie was talking about how during his live, he was talking about how he had been in it since 2020, I think he said. And even then, I wouldn't, like, even if it was from 2020 to now, and I had that, I mean, I have that information, obviously, of how this market moves, but I don't have it as a card shop owner. I don't think that would be accurate either, because I don't even think any point between then and now we've had the lows of Pokemon that have been seen previously. I think even the lowest low of Pokemon during the Scarlet and Violet beginning of the era was still a high for Pokemon in general. So I
yeah,
don't think there's any real certainty of people realizing how low the hobby could get if like realistically. So I think there's too much uncertainty in me to like I talk about it, but I think there's still too much uncertainty for me to want to leave the stability of the benefits and just having the job in general and like a guaranteed salary.
yeah, that makes sense. What are your favorite modern or favorite vintage cards?
My takes are very different, I think, because I only started in 2016. I started in 2016 collecting. I'd previously been, I think it's actually, I guess, kind of common from what I've noticed in a lot of the interviews that a lot of people are Yu-Gi-Oh kids.
Yeah.
So, but I actually do like a lot of the modern arts mostly. I think most of the modern is super nice. The full artworks just hit different than a half artwork, I guess, for me. But I'd say, what are my favorite modern and favorite vintage? Do I have Thrifty saying show the binding? But I don't know if I have it on hand. I think I brought it to the store one day, so I don't have it on hand. But let's see. I have this one. I have one of my binders on hand. This is my binder that's mostly just like, oop, can't even see it.
Can't see.
Can't see. But this binder would have mostly just all my hollows. So one of the ones you'd see the most of, I guess, this one's one that will be funny, would be, let's see if I do this. Let's see. How do I do this?
The Ho-Oh?
Yeah. So this is from Pop Series.
Oh, nice.
So I have a lot of, so what a lot of people don't realize is that Pop Series has the ones that come in the packs where 90% of the pack cards are non-hollow. I am kind of a snob in terms of that because I don't like the non-hollow. But I also learned that all of those Pop Series cards were promos at some point in boxes. So you can buy them as promos, and they're all the Cosmo foil. And Cosmo Hollow is insane.
Yeah.
I guess for modern card, to answer the actual question, my favorite modern card would be the Bubble Mew, as you can tell, because to me, the Bubble Mew in like that in one card encapsulates what Pokemon's about. And it's just fun, derpy, and nothing that you have, like, I don't know. Fun, derpy, and just a good time. And then favorite vintage? Vintage is hard. Because I feel like you can obviously say Shinings, Gold Stars, and stuff, because I like shiny Pokemon. Honestly, I'm gonna kind of go with the one card that when I was young that I remember clearly that I had, and I threw away because I thought it was fake, and that is the Legendary Collection Arcanine.
The reversal?
Yeah, I had that real, and I threw it away because I thought it was fake, like my fake Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and yeah, so. If ever there's one that I'll probably get back, I'll probably grab that one just to look at it and be like, "You're so dumb." Because I still have every single one of my old Yu-Gi-Oh cards as well, and I'm like, "You are so dumb." Because that one card is probably worth more than all those Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Yeah, I was not in the hobby when Legendary Collection came out, so I'm not sure what I would have thought of them at the time. But I think that the reverse hulls are super cool. I really like the firework pattern. It's super awesome. Yeah, that's a good one. I've answered this question like 7 times now.
And it's like, all right, which Charizard do I pick this time?
No, it's not a Charizard. It's Dark Charmeleon. It's my favorite.
Oh, you have said that one. The one I know exactly what you're talking about too, and that is an amazing art. You are correct.
And favorite modern, depending on what we count as modern, I'll say like Sword and Shield and newer. I like the Umbreon V from Evolving Skies.
The one where Umbreon's at the top of the stairs. That's a good one.
Yeah, I like that one.
I mean, for a long time, a lot of people were like, "That's a better art than the Moonbreon."
I think it is personally, but yeah, people like the Moonbreon. I think the Rayquaza V is also better than the Rayquaza V Max, but yeah.
To be honest, in a way, I kind of feel it just because I feel like the massive Pokemon, just making Pokemon massive in a picture is kind of a gimmick in a way.
Yeah.
And it actually just takes away from a lot of the art. And I think that was a lot of my negative with the new Mewtwo from Rocket Returns. Was that it's not, I mean, it's cool, but it seems like they kind of just were lazy with the artwork, and it felt very like there's no real background to it. It's kind of just Mewtwo and Giovanni there. Have your Mewtwo and Giovanni card. There wasn't really much like detail to the artwork in the background or anything, so that was disappointing to me.
That's all we need, though.
I mean, that's all you need. I mean, for me, it's like I like the Crobat more than the Mewtwo at that point.
The Crobat is a beautiful card. Yeah, super cool card.
Yeah. I mean, Grimer kids, but Mewtwo would have been so much better in a bubble. Because I'm pretty sure there's like a movie portion during one of them where Ash is carrying Mewtwo, and then he throws Mewtwo into the water, and Mewtwo's having like this contemplation, like, oh my god, like humans and Pokemon can coexist, and I am a Pokemon, and like I can be part of this society in a way. So that would like Mewtwo just falling in the water, and then I don't know how you put Giovanni in that one, but I mean, it's definitely something that could happen. I mean, why not?
Yeah, I saw. I don't mean to call anyone out, but it was kind of an interesting. It was all Glory of Team Rocket thing, and somebody was in the Discord and was like, "Oh, I'm buying up all these Glory of Team Rocket cards," and I'm like, "Oh." I looked at the chat thing, and I'm like, "Really?" Like, and then right after, the guy's like, "Yeah, Team Rocket Spidops is only like $5." I'm just
like, I wonder why.
Like, bro, come on. Like, you must be new here.
I mean, I get it.
It's a cool card,
but
like, I'm not going to buy 20 of them.
Being in Japanese.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, it's very similar to how some people will bring up the Conkeldurr from Pokemon Go. I mean, that thing was $2, and people were like, "I'm buying the crap out of that one."
Yeah.
And it's like, well, yeah, but I mean, even with the multiple alt art booms, that card has only gone to $4, which if you bought them at $2, you technically doubled up, and now you have to sell like however many you got of them,
Yeah. See, here's the problem. Here's where Grimer and I just like disconnect. Is Grimer's looking at it purely for artwork, in which I agree, it is a juicer. But would you buy 20 of them to grade to flip? Absolutely fucking not. Because that's going to be like a $25 PSA 10.
I mean,
so,
I agree with Grimer with a lot of these. Like, I like them. I mean, even the Crobat, I think is incredible.
the Crobat's amazing. Yeah.
Crobat has a chance because it's still a crow. It's still semi-popular, but
yeah,
it's still one of those where it's like at the border of, okay, I like this artwork, but now I got to think of it as a business and like, will a lot of other people like it?
Yeah.
And I think it still has pretty strong chance in that sense as well. But obviously, I don't think it's going to be the hit of the box.
Yeah. I think they just did really well with this set. Like, I'm looking at the card list right now, and it's like you got Houndoom, you got Blaziken, 2 beautiful cards. And
Why
then
wouldn't
on
you
top
just
of that,
put up a present and just have people looking at it at the same time you are?
Well, I'm not going to look at it for very long, but and then all of the special art rares are great. Moltres, Mewtwo, Nidoking, Crobat. Like, you hardly can do wrong with that lineup. And even the gold Mewtwo looks cool. He's in the same pose that he's in the test tube. He's not in a test tube, but it's the same kind of pose. So that's kind of cool.
I don't know.
So
maybe a hot take. A lot of these arts seem a little lazier because they're very like close-up shots and very little like detail to them. In my eyes,
ones? The special art rares?
Yeah. Like the Moltres is just literally just a Moltres with a little bit of a trainer showing.
Oh man, I disagree hardcore. Your favorite one is Crobat. That's the most close-up one.
Yeah, but it has a lot going on.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, it did say hot take, huh?
True.
And that isn't even my hot take. I don't even know what it's going to be. Let me just cook on that one.
Okay. Yeah, I think they did a good job. And yeah, this set with Heatwave Arena is just going to be crazy, as does the Rivals. Oh, I figured out what my bet was. So yesterday, I was trying to figure out what the bet was, and it's an even worse bet than I thought it was. I don't know if it was 6 months or 1 year. I don't remember. I'll have to look at it again. I think it's 6 months. I think I said in 6 months that Destined Rivals wouldn't be above $200 a booster box. And I think I probably should have given it some more time because I do think in like a year or two, it won't be above 200, but 6 months from now, people might still be paying way too much money for this shit. So, yeah, I probably will lose $100 on that one, but we'll see.
I mean, it depends. Pokemon has to come through with just an insane amount of
yeah, right.
I mean, if they're doing, when's the next set afterwards? Because Destined Rivals, I think the release time between that and Journey is only like a little less than 2 months, which is probably one of the shortest like cycles that they've had.
Yeah, I think the next set is the Black and White reboot set, right?
And then after that is the Mega set.
I think so.
Yeah.
So
let's see. Okay, I'm looking at the cards now. Blaziken. Blaziken. I feel like I can't give an accurate depiction of Blaziken because I think I have the bias of Gen 3.
Blaziken's sick.
It is sick.
It's a sick card.
But if it goes by the same thing that I was saying before, it's very close up. And
well, the Houndoom is too, but Houndoom's badass.
Houndoom has detail to it. All right, so it actually does have a background to it. So Houndoom's a little different. Spite Ops is fine. Clamperl isn't close up, but it's just.
Can we just say
there's
that
not much going on?
And I'm going to give this to Grimer. Okay, instead of wheezing, it should have been Muck. Instead of wheezing, it should have been Muck. I'm going to give that one to Grimer. Muck should never get like a special illustration rare, but definitely should get an art rare, and it should have been in this set for sure. Screw wheezing.
The fact that wheezing got SIR is crazy. Yeah. This one's actually one of the ones that actually has the detail that I'm talking about, to be honest. The wheezing.
Grimer, I'm going to ban you for like 10 minutes.
Clam to Blaziken. Even Grimer's lying because he loves Gen 3 and he disagrees fully.
Yeah, he's just saying that.
That's a troll and a half.
That's a troll. That's a troll.
Like Team Rocket's Wobbuffet would have been an insane hit.
Ban him. That's
For
a troll.
For what it is, the why am I blanking on the name? The Ladybug one. Team Rocket's Orbeetle.
Oh God, no.
I don't mind it. I see where they were going, but it just had to be a different Pokemon. Like this could have been, what is it? I was gonna say Murkrow, but I actually like the Murkrow, Team Rocket's Murkrow. I think that one did well.
It's kind of funny. I feel like usually I dislike when, I don't know. I like the cards that have the trainer and the Pokemon. And usually I'm like, oh, why are these art rares, especially with like Journey Together and stuff? It's like, why are they throwing art rares in that don't have a trainer? Like, this is ridiculous. But Blaziken, Zamazenta, those two are really nice. The Zamazenta is sick. I wish that people cared more about Zamazenta, but
I'm not a big fan of the Zamazenta.
Bro, you're crazy.
I think so.
Look at that. You're crazy.
Yeah,
you got the lens flare.
I don't know. I look at it and I get bored. I don't know what it is.
Bro.
I know that is the most unpopular take of my life.
Grimer, stop trolling, bro. The Kangaskhan is great.
So I think it's a sense of like,
get out of here.
I like different artwork, and you can tell because I actually do like the Kangaskhan one more. Like, that's not a troll. That's me fully face serious. The Kangaskhan one is significantly better for me. The Kangaskhan, the Meowth, even the Raticate, I like more.
I don't know what's
like
happening.
This art style to me is incredible. Like this is a me art style.
No. Well, I'm glad you like the Kangaskhan because it'll be 50 cents in
perfect
5 minutes. Yeah. Banger cards though.
Worst art rare of all time, says Mason.
I wouldn't say it's the worst art rare of all time. There's literally a Clamperl in this set, all right? Yeah. Let's chill.
Like I actually, I mean the Raticate I like as well. I like the Meowth. Clamperl is missing something. It should have had like a Relicanth or something somewhere around there.
No, Mason gets to say Grimer's about to get banned. The Raticate's fun. The Raticate is fun. I'll give you that. I do. The Raticate is cute and fun. I like that one. I like the Raticate. I like the Meowth.
You know which one I don't get? The Regirock.
Well, yeah, because it's...
What the hell is that?
The
set?
The EX. It doesn't even have an R. It's just a random... Well, same with C-Titan.
It's a Titan. I mean, it's a Titan's at
least
in the era. Regirock's just out of left field, like, oh, well, we're doing a couple of Gen 3, might as well do more Gen 3.
Do they have EXs? Oh, they do. Regirock EX.
And Arboliva EX?
Yeah, Arboliva, like, why? C-Titan, why? Yeah. There's a couple odd additions in there, but I think for the most part, I think the set is pretty banger.
Actually,
there's a Persian EX, but there's no Persian...
Yeah, I actually like the Nidoking. The more I look at the Nidoking, I'm like, all right. It could have done more. Could have done more, but I still like it.
Nidoking always... He just looks so immobile. I mean... Like he's not... How does he even fight? He looks so stiff. Like, he can't bend his arms at all. He's just like, he's always just looking super stiff like a puppet.
I mean, what move did everyone use when that was like OP in red and blue? It was he would use Horn Drill, wasn't it? And he would just Horn Drill to get to the entire end of the game.
Wasn't a Horn Drill like it was only 10% effective or something, but if you hit, you automatically killed them? It was something like that.
It was something insane. You could just auto KO everything pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my thing with the Team Rocket's Nidoking is, in my eyes, like in my head, the way I've seen Giovanni was like in the Generations show and everything, and then obviously in the originals where he was like meant to be like a gym leader. So if they zoomed out a little more and maybe had like the logo of like a gym or something, I think that would have added something to the art.
Yeah.
But I even like Team Rocket's Giovanni. Like, I've heard people didn't really enjoy the art, but I actually don't mind it.
Yeah, I think they look all
Yeah.
really nice.
Like, overall, the set is a set. Is it a good set? I think so. Is it great? I'd probably say so still. I
Yeah.
think the issue that I'm seeing is that the expectations were way higher than Pokemon was able to give.
Well, yeah, I mean, for a set like that, it's a lot of the expectations are going to be unrealistic, and
Like,
sets
yeah.
are smaller. Especially, I mean, the fact that they didn't make it like a specialty set on its own, they didn't. They're going to combine it with another set for English. It's a pretty small set overall. It's only got 4 special illustration rare Pokemon cards, so it's like it's it's limited.
I
You're only
think a
going to have
lot
so
of
many
people are
opportunities
looking
to
at
do
it
stuff.
like they wanted double of what we got.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think a lot of people wanted more of the Gen 1 feel instead of the Gen 2 feel. Is that what I think the Team Rocket admins and stuff from this one are from the Gen 2 game?
Yes, but a lot of the Pokemon are Gen 3, which doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. So I think a lot of people are like, "Oh, Jesse and James and Meowth and like all this stuff," and it's like, no Jesse and James, no, no, none of the quintessential Rocket. I mean, you still get Wobbuffet and you still get Meowth, which makes sense, and
I mean,
but
it has Murkrow
and
and
Raticate,
this
and
on. And
there's no
then
Arbok, but there is a Weezing. It's just kind of weird to have those Pokemon without the trainers that are so like iconically attached to them. Like if it was
I
like a James Weezing, like that would have been cool because like Weezing and James are like the iconic duo. But since they went with Gen 2 instead of Gen 1, then obviously it was going to be a little bit different.
yeah, I guess. I mean, I was also kind of thinking when I heard that there was going to be different trainers, I was like, oh, maybe they have like Butch and Cassidy from the anime and stuff like that. But I think they went more towards like the games.
Yeah, they tend to do that where they just kind of like for some reason in the TCG universe, like the anime doesn't really exist. Like they don't really do anything. I mean, occasionally they'll do like an Ash's Greninja promo or something like that, but Ash is not in very many cards at all.
No, I feel
And
like more likely they use red.
yeah, yeah. Ash has had a Pikachu, like a Pikachu level X in the past, and
Greninja.
Ash's Greninja, but yeah, mostly it's like Red's Pikachu, Red's Red's Challenge or whatever it's called. So it's usually the video games that get tied into it instead of the anime. So I guess it makes sense that we would get more video game stuff instead of anime stuff. But yeah, expectations will always be higher. That's true. That's true. I think, yeah, I think everyone just thinks about previous Rocket sets and are like, oh man, Team Rocket Returns was fire. Team Rocket back in the day was fire. He had all these amazing Pokemon and all those sets that got ultra rares and whatever, and this set's just a little bit on the smaller side, so you could only really do so much. And I think they did a good job.
I mean, I think the set's fine. I
Yeah.
think it's just a thing of expectations are through the roof. And I think there is a lot of disappointment in what Pokemon were chosen. Because I think there was definitely a lot more opportunity to choose Pokemon that were more relevant to a lot of people or that were actually used by Team Rocket or something like that in the anime or in different areas, I guess, even in the game.
Yeah. I think yeah, I don't know. I definitely, prefer certain Pokemon over others, but they're not all going to be bangers. They're not all going to be like super popular species. But in terms of like Scarlet and Violet sets, I mean, Destiny Rivals will be. I'm trying to think of the cards in it. I think. I think Destiny Rivals is probably the best Scarlet and Violet set. If I had to pick one, based on the hits, the cards, the Pokemon chosen, like yeah, 151 is great. I would say it has less overall like banger hits than this one does. And I would say that Prismatic is great if you like EVs. If you don't like EVs, then it's kind of whatever. And you still have to deal with the hats and stuff. So this one to me is like, it's definitely the banger set so far of this block, in my opinion. You're muted.
Oops, sorry about that. I said surprisingly enough, I'm actually going to agree with you on that one.
Yeah.
Like, I actually agree that in terms of, because Heatwave Arena, incredible set.
Oh, yeah.
I think that is, for some people, even better. They like that one more than the Rocket set coming up.
Yeah.
So I think that's two incredible sets coming together to make one incredible set.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I think Destiny Rivals is a banger set.
Eevee was a little bit too much EVs. 151, I mean, is 151, but I think this one offers more.
It's kind of funny because I feel like 151 was like an ode to Gen 1, and I almost feel like Destiny Rivals is an ode to Gen 2.
Is
like
it?
there's so much Gen
know.
2 like trainers and stuff in it.
Trainers, sure, but
because
Pokemon
Ethan from Gen 2?
Ethan is from Gen
3.
2, yes. It's Gen 2. No, Gen 3 is like Brandon, I think it is.
So you got Ethan in Heatwave, has like a big
he
part
has
of Heatwave, and then
parts.
you have Giovanni and all the other Rocket admins and stuff from Gen 2.
Yep.
So it almost seems like a Gen 2 throwback, but
a Gen 2 throwback with a mix of non-Gen 2 Pokemon.
yeah. The Pokemon, maybe not so much. The trainers and stuff, yeah.
Honestly, if it was more Gen 2, I'd be much happier because I love Gen 2.
Yeah.
I think Gen 2 is a banger. And Grimer made me realize more and more as well. Gen 3 is way more of a banger than we realize, and that's when they do that one again is going to be an insane set.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this next upcoming block. I do feel like so maybe a hot take. I don't really think it is. I think this is the most like lukewarm take ever. If this is the last Scarlet Violet block and the sets after Destiny Rivals are going into this new like mini block with the new game coming out, I honestly think that Scarlet Violet has been a massive letdown of a block. I think overall Scarlet and Violet then is miles worse than Sword and Shield, 100%. I think they're ending it with a banger of a set, but I don't think it's lived up to Sword and Shield as a like a full block. Grimer. I feel pretty confident about this one.
So, Sword and Shield had 16 sets, and Scarlet and Violet currently has 14 with Destiny Rivals.
Everything after Battle Styles is like banger after banger after banger after banger.
You say that, but everyone hated Battle Styles. Everyone hated Chilling Reign. Everyone hated Fusion Strike.
Everyone just hated them because at the time they were cheap.
Sure.
I don't think that Battle Styles is a great set. I think it has two good like hits in it. I think the Tyranitar and the Empoleon are like solid hits in my opinion.
Isn't the Empoleon like $40?
Popular Pokemon? Probably. It's probably not super expensive, but and then I think a ton of people love Chilling Reign because of how many special illustration rares are in the set. And then everything after that, Evolving Skies is probably still the best set of the two generations put together. And then you had
Crown Zenith
to cap it off, which is amazing set, fantastic set to open. Fusion Strike, everyone hated for no freaking reason. That set is an insane set. with super popular Pokemon. Lost Origin, brilliant stars with all the Charizards. You had the Pikachus, you had the Umbreon and the Sylveon. You had come on.
Sword and Shield, they cooked like
Bangers.
crazy on the trainer gallery.
Yeah, I think trainer galleries were super
without
awesome.
The trainer gallery, these sets would have been dead, I think.
Well, they would have just as many hits as these sets.
I guess. Similar, yeah. I actually do think there are more hits in these that are actual like art rares and stuff like that and trainer gallery cards, as opposed to like full arts. Wait.
A chef says a lot of Sword and Shield was with some standout sets.
I'd
say like 70% of the Sword and Shield block was banger sets.
I feel like some of the art rares, instead of art rares, they ended up using the full arts, and now they're using the full arts with like the Pokemon with the trainer in the background instead of like art rares.
No.
Because they're still doing full arts with just Pokemon on them, and they're doing full arts with Pokemon plus the trainer. I think in this case, I'll actually give that to you.
Grimer, that's wild.
Count all the skips in Sword and Shield. There are a lot.
No, this.
Zenith,
you're putting these guys behind all these sets? That's just objectively wrong. Evolving Skies is easily better than Prismatic because it has all the evolutions plus all the Dragon Pokemon. So that doesn't make any sense whatsoever because nobody likes any of the Pokemon that aren't evolutions in Prismatic. So throw that out. That doesn't count. 151 is like, I guess if you like 151, whatever, but there's way more hits in Evolving Skies of super popular Pokemon. So that doesn't make any sense. Throw that out. Destined Rivals, you might be able to make an argument for, but I still think overall Evolving Skies has more hits in it than Destined Rivals will, like in total. So throw that out. And Zenith, whatever. I mean, Zenith is a great set. It's really fun to open, but like, does it have as many hits of like... Does it have as many solid hits as Evolving Skies? I don't know. I don't agree with that at all. Putting Evolving Skies behind Prismatic Evolutions that's just a troll right there. That's just troll. There's no way. And in Evolving Skies, every freaking evolution, you had 2 cards. You had a V and a VMAX, and they were both alternate art. Like that set has insane amount of hits in it. And you have the Dragonite, the Rayquaza, and the other banger Dragon Pokemon.
Yeah, I mean, Crown Zenith, I think, is just special.
The Crown Zenith is good. It's very good. And it's a better opening experience than Evolving Skies for sure. It's way more fun to open because there's so many hits.
151 or Zenith? I don't even think that's a question. I think Zenith is better than 151.
People are just so dusted in this chat. They have absolutely no. I don't get it, man. I don't get it. Yeah, Prismatic is way better than Evolving Skies, guys. True.
Yeah, True. Benji's bad takes are rubbing off. Mason knows
insane.
I got all the bad takes.
That's actually insane to agree with that. How many standout sets from each era are they? Tally it up. From Scarlet and Violet, Pokemon 151 is a standout, Prismatic is a standout, and this new set is a standout. I don't really think there are any other standout sets.
So for you, Journey Together is chalked up. Gone. Yeah. You think that Surging Sparks, chalked set?
Yep.
Okay. Surging Sparks. You think Stellar Crown, chalked?
Yep.
Okay. Shrouded, chalked.
Way chalked.
Twilight?
That's like one of the worst sets of all time. Like bottom 5 sets of all time, probably. Shrouded.
Twilight Masquerade?
It's got 1 hit. Maybe 2 with one art rare, but there are very little like actual hits from the set.
You're
It's got the Greninja.
basically the Greninja and the Eevee art rare.
The Eevee, yeah. Paldea has Magikarp, and is there another one like Tyranitar or something?
Yeah, I think it's like T-Tar.
Yeah.
Let's see. It's got
There's
the.
at least
I
2
mean, I
Sword
like
and Shield sets below
Meryl,
Shrouded.
Magikarp.
I think Rebel Clash is close to Shrouded, but I don't think there's any other sets in Sword and Shield that I would put anywhere near Shrouded.
Yeah.
And then I think literally everything after Battle Styles is like pretty banger. Like I think most of the sets after that are, especially when you get to Evolving Skies and past that. Evolving Skies past that, every set is a banger.
I mean, yeah, because even Fusion Strike, I think, has 4 hits in it. 5. Let's see.
And they're all S tier Pokemon.
Celebi V, Mew V,
the Mew V Max,
the Mew V Max, Espeon V
Gengar.
Max, and Gengar V Max, and that's it.
That's a banger lineup, though. Those are all S tier popularity Pokemon.
Oh, and of course the Greedent V. Can't forget about that one.
Oh yeah, there's that as well. And you have the breakdancing. What's the guy called? The breakdancing robot. Yeah.
I guess. Sure, Doc.
I don't hate this era. I'm just objectively looking at them through the lens of what I like about eras and about sets and what I like to see popular Pokemon in sets. If there aren't that many popular Pokemon in a set, then it's not a set that appeals to me, and then I just don't care about it. Again, if we're looking purely at artwork, then I'm sure you can make a case. If you're looking purely at artwork, no matter what the Pokemon is, that Scarlet and Violet could give Sword and Shield a run for its money purely on artwork. But that's not how I evaluate sets. So I'm evaluating the set based on my metrics, which you guys should know already. And if you guys don't know, then you guys haven't been listening, and that's fine. But I'm not going to continue to reiterate the way that I evaluate sets just because you don't like to hear me say that Scarlet and Violet is a letdown, because it is.
It's more fun to open.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you, disappointment you see when someone opens a Sword and Shield era pack is very prevalent.
Is it, though?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Because even if you hit something in Scarlet and Violet, like, that shit is like an 8 out of the pack. Like, if you want like decent condition stuff, isn't that why all the Scarlet and Violet cards are, especially illustration rares, are expensive? Because they're low pop, because they're hard to get PSA 10s, because they're all like trash out of packs?
Not that I know of. I mean, I think they're just...
I thought that was the whole reason.
Just bought out like crazy.
That like Ice Cube was like a $200 PSA 10 because people are saying it's like hard to get a 10. Yes, the ripping. Yes.
I mean, I don't think I've heard that so prevalent that it makes sense, but I mean, I'm sure it's a fact. It could be a factor. I haven't seen that many issues like that. Generally, cards are pretty fine out of the packs. But yeah, I mean, I definitely put in how much fun you have opening a set into if a set's good or not.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But I guess it also depends on what you're...
If that's the metric, if that's the metric that you're using to evaluate a set.
Yeah.
The problem is when people say, yeah, why debate at all? It's subjective. It's not subjective. When I've put out how I evaluate a set, that makes that premises the debate on something that is objective. If I say I evaluate sets by how many popular Pokemon are in the set, that is an objective metric that we can look at in each of the sets, because popularity of Pokemon is objective. You can determine whether or not a Pokemon is popular.
I mean, I
So
feel like you also are allowed to talk about it and have different opinions and be able to have a conversation that's fun to listen to and fun to talk in. I mean,
no, I know.
if we literally just were like, oh, well, this isn't like fact on paper and we can't put it like into writing, I think all of these podcasts would be like 5 minutes long.
Yeah.
Because a lot of what people are saying generally aren't like straight up fact and have very much like different factors that factor into everything. So there is no right answer.
Yeah.
So, I mean, most conversations would just end if you decided that, okay, everything's subjective. Let's never talk about anything. I
Well,
think it's a very like negative way to look at it, in my opinion.
and if we think about the different ways that have come up in chat, right? So artwork. If we were looking at the two eras in terms of artwork, that would be way more subjective than popularity of Pokemon, because artwork is completely subjective. Me and you are going to look at two cards and we both could think that the artwork is crap or the artwork is amazing. And because people just like different artwork. Popularity of Pokemon is a pretty objective metric. You can actually measure that and figure out whether or not a Pokemon's popular. So it's a more objective metric than is the art good.
And then, I mean, but even then, you could be like, well, what you're using that metric based on what? Well, if I look at in data just by asking every single person that comes into my card show here in the East Coast, I'll probably get different answers than what you got. I think.
Right, but you can look at sales metrics on eBay, and that's like millions of sales over the last however many years. Is an Empoleon selling more than a Charizard? No.
But does Empoleon have a lot less cards than Charizard? Like, there's always
Probably,
there's always many like buts and stuff. So like, obviously, yes, you can say that your metrics probably have some kind of substance to them, but at the end of the day, it still is subjective. Like, whether it's more subjective or more objective, more subjective, realistically, who cares? It's just your opinion.
Right, but that's the whole point. The whole point is if
it's all opinions.
If we're talking about if we're having a fun back and forth conversation about which is better or which is worse, then we kind of have to say, like, how are we evaluating these things?
Yeah.
Because if we just nebulously like said, oh yeah, Sword and Shield is way better than Scarlet and Violet, moving on, then it would be like, well, where's the fun in that? Like, why do you think that? Instead of just like making a blanket statement and not explaining why.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that's definitely why there is something to talk about and everything. I mean, whether or not you like this or anything will generally never affect anyone in any way. Whether or not Nan P is agreeing with you or not doesn't matter. But I still think it's fun to listen to why you like a set, why you think a set sucks, or why you think a generation sucks. And I think that's fine. You're not hurting anyone. You're not anything. So I think it's fun.
Well, and the other metric, like Grimer said, ripping stuff like Evolving feels so dark. Yeah, ripping is another component that we can evaluate, blocks or sets on, right? Is whether or not it's fun to rip. Some people find it really fun that it is really hard to pull something out of Evolving Skies, and they want to rip that because of how much harder it is. Like, the gamble stakes are higher, therefore it's more fun for them. Whereas, you see it all the time when pull rates are hard. Everyone says, oh, the pull rates are too hard. I want something easier. I want them to be easier. And then you do pull rates are easy and all the singles are cheap. And all of a sudden now people are like, oh, we got to go back to pull rates being hard because the cards are so cheap. So it's like everyone wants it in different ways too. So that's a very subjective metric as well, because of how easier pull rates or how more fun a set is to open can affect like the rest of everything in terms of the cards and stuff.
Everyone digests the hobby differently. I mean, there's people who only do graded cards when they collect. There's people who would never touch a graded card in their life, and they would rather free their cards from the plastic.
Yeah.
I mean, even in the store, I've had maybe like probably like 4 or 5 slabs that we've opened up for people so that they could just get the card that was inside of it. Yeah. So, I mean, everyone collects differently, and that's the beauty of it. I mean, people get like, I collect cards that are like really beat up in the back and really nice in the front. Other people want cards that are only minty that go in their binders or something. So, I mean, some people do cards. Some people collect only cards with Pokemon that are sleeping on them. Some people do only cards that have moons on them, only suns. Some people do cards that have another Pokemon in them or another trainer in them. So, I mean, there's something for everybody, which it has to be.
What's up, Ernie? How's it going? A Javi of 6.66k subs must be harnessing the devilish take energy. I guess so. I think you look at which cards within a set get graded more. That tells you quite a bit about popularity, potentially.
Tells you about popularity within people who grade.
Well, it's most of the time the cards that are being graded more have more demand on the secondary market. And if they have more demand on the secondary market, then you would expect that they're more popular.
Yeah, but then you're like, oh, well, is the artwork doing it justice or different things like that?
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely a metric you can look at.
Yeah. Both blocks are good cardboard co-op. Yes, exactly.
Moon
So
only PC would be fun.
So Benji, there's a couple things that I've been asking people to have ready for them during their conversations, and that is a hot take and a positive experience. So something that you did for someone, something that someone did for you, or something that you observed between two people in the hobby. If you want, we could start with a hot take, unless you have your positive ready. Otherwise, we can start with a positive.
Thought I had a hot take, and now I forgot. Positive? I mean, to be honest with the store, I've seen a lot of positivity go on. I mean, with us, we do a lot of the bulk that we get in. There will be a lot of people who will just give it away to the store, and we just give that away to other people and let people finish master sets and stuff. But I mean, even yesterday we have this card wheel where we have packs on the wheel, like Scott and the Base, Surging Sparks, Twilight Masquerade, and then like one Evolving Skies, and like it's $6 to spin, and whatever you land on, that's what you get. And then this little girl came in. She comes in like once a week with her grandfather and her dad, every now and then, like depending on who wants to come with her. And she's always super happy, super upbeat, really happy to be there, happy to grab cards, and spinning the wheel, super happy no matter what she got. And then I asked her what pack she did want from the thing. She had gotten temporal twice, and she was like, "Oh, surging." So I just switched out the temporals for surgings. And then there were two other customers who were buying something else, and they actually bought that girl another spin on the wheel to spin for another pack, and she was just super happy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I love hearing that stuff. Yeah, you probably get a lot of opportunities to do that type of stuff when you're essentially vending four times a week. And there's probably a lot of opportunities to do fun stuff for people. So that's cool that you take those and you guys have fun at the store. That's cool. Hot take?
Hot take. I don't know. I guess vintage is a little overrated. I guess that's probably the hottest take of ever. And that's mostly because I don't have the glasses of this is nostalgia for me, I think. So I think I like vintage and there are cards that I like there, but I definitely think that there is more hype than makes sense. And I guess a lot of it is built on like, well, you have to respect that these came first type thing, which cool and all, but at the end of the day, doesn't mean it's actually like objectively, if that card came out the same time this card did, it would not do as well.
Yeah, I mean, vintage is definitely nostalgia driven.
Yeah.
You know, most of us, like you said, you got in 2016. So, nostalgia for you is probably like Evolutions or something.
So for me, it's actually the first sets I opened was Evolutions, Generations. Evolutions I haven't touched since then, really, because I'm like, if I'm not like when at the time I was like, if I'm not buying it at the price I initially bought it at, it doesn't make sense for me to keep buying it.
Yeah.
Unless obviously now that I'm selling, it's like, oh, if I get a deal here, I'll buy it to sell it, but I won't keep it. But Generations, I bought a lot of copies of each card from Generations, and I have those in a binder. And to be honest, I'm now considering selling because I'm like, well, I've had these cards for super long, and these cards have all like triple, quadrupled in price at this point.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it might be time to drop down to maybe like one card of each.
It'll be interesting though in 10 years when you look back at Generations cards, you probably will have some nostalgia for them, like
Sure.
kind of the same way that, I look back at Dark Charmeleon from Rocket and I'm like, "Oh man, that
Right.
card is so sick." So yeah, but it's definitely built a lot on nostalgia and what you had as a kid and stuff like that. Um I do think that some of the early artworks are incredible, and just because I think they get a bad rap for only taking up a third of the card.
I mean,
um,
it more is more in that sense, I think. Like there are definitely a lot of cards. Don't get me wrong. It's not like I'm like, oh, vintage sucks, vintage boo, never buy a vintage card. There are so many really good vintage artworks, vintage cards, and I like them too. But at the same time, I'm like, well, what if I can get more art though? You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
base set hollows. The hollow on base set is kind of ugly, in my opinion.
yeah. The base set 2 hollows is a lot
Base
better.
set 2 way better for what you're getting. Like if I'm just collecting for collections purposes, why would I get a base set card when I could get a base set 2 one? And this is minusing like, oh, what if I want to resell it down the road or something like that? It's more of a thing like if I'm just keeping this card, I would rather have a base set 2 over a base set 1.
Yeah, yeah. I would agree with that. I'd rather have a base set Charizard that had a swirl than didn't have a swirl, and I
Yeah.
don't really care if there's a little 2 on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I agree. Um, Yeah, I think vintage is pretty sick. I think some of my favorite cards, like I still think that, I mean, I've said this a lot, but I think gold stars and crystals are still probably to me the best looking cards in the hobby. Um
Yeah.
and probably because I am like brand new to them. They're hard to get. They're so there's a little bit of like rarity and scarcity there. There's they are really beautiful to me. Like they have really amazing, hollow patterns and artworks and all sorts of, stuff. And they're really popular Pokemon, popular, they're Pokemon that I really enjoy. And yeah, so I look back at those cards and I'm like, damn, I hope I can collect those someday because
They're
they're
definitely
really cool.
standouts. And then Dark Ibex is talking about the history, which is kind of what
Mm,
I brought up. It's like that's generally what anyone's gonna say, like, oh, the history, these are what started it all type thing. And you gotta respect the respect what came first type thing.
yeah, and Japanese base. I'd rather have a Japanese base set Charizard that had a swirl. True. 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 Very true. Japanese base does have the swirls. I don't know why they did that for English base. Is it base fossil and jungle they have that crappy hollow pattern?
Oh, yeah.
And then base 2 they started doing the galaxy thing. They just had to give us the worst hollow pattern, huh?
And then for every promo from the modern era, the like single pack blisters and stuff are the ones that have the Cosmofoil pattern.
Yeah, they did something a little weird with those though, because it's like some of them have normal looking swirls and some of them have very like manufactured looking
You mean like
swirls.
the double swirls that go both ways on the swirl, so it
Yeah,
looks like
yeah,
they're inside of each other?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, they are. I'm glad that they still use the galaxy foil pattern every now and again. I do really enjoy that.
I got
But
one for you though.
yeah,
SpongeBob's collaborating, or SpongeBob, Pokemon's collaborating with someone. Who should they collaborate with
for cards or for anything.
for cards?
I mean,
It could be a person. It could be like a sports team. It could be
I
like a
mean,
show. It could be.
Nintendo's right there. Where is our Pokemon slash Smash Brothers set? I mean, come on, Pikachu in a Link costume. Come on, uh, Orangaroo in a Donkey Kong costume. Come on, like you could have so much fun with that. There's so many different Fennekin in a fox outfit. Like there's so many different like cute things you could do with all of those characters, teaming up with Pokemon, bringing back ponchos or bringing back, costumes or putting them in artworks together. Yeah, that would be super fun.
I'm always wondering whether or not that's something that Pokemon just holds in their back pocket, like certain things like, okay, we know ponchos are good. Okay, we know like this collaboration's good. We're gonna hold on to these for a dark time in the future or something.
Yeah. Here's a hot take. The Mario crossover was cool as a one-off. Too many more of these would be lame.
In what sense? Like as in like any crossovers in general or just Mario crossovers? Because
like it would devalue that crossover as being like a unique thing if they started doing like a bunch of different crossovers.
I imagine he's alluding more to like how Magic does the secret layers, and now that's kind of like there's a lot of Magic like crossovers.
I really like. I mean, ever since I got back in and found the Mario Pikachu, it's been like my grail essentially. But it's literally 10K now in a PSA 10, so I'm probably I legitimately will never own that card, because you will never find me spending 10K on a Pokemon card.
Yeah.
So
I think he's kind of just going more towards like the fact that like it would make it less special if you're doing specialty sets every single like other block or something like that. Or,
I
like,
think the Magic
promos.
thing is really cool, to be honest. I really like all the Universes stuff.
Yeah. I mean,
Like,
similar to what Grimer said, he already touched on that, is like Universes Beyond and Magic the Gathering. People were very like negative about it at first, and now they've kind of like shifted to be a bit more supportive of it.
yeah. Yeah, I think it's actually super cool. It's actually, I haven't bought any of the cards yet, but there are sets of Magic cards that I would love to buy. Like
Fair.
the 80s metal Lord of the Rings cards that are like super illustrated and they look really freaking awesome. And yeah, those would be absolutely sick to have a set of, because they're so awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I will say that having those extra sets does make it so that there's so many Magic drops in general. So like, I don't know, you're pre-ordering like 4 different sets at a time for Magic or something.
Yeah. Yeah, it really sucks that anime it really sucks that anime properties haven't. I mean, Final Fantasy obviously it's an anime game. It's not really like an anime property. Well, it's kind of, I guess it is. But yeah, like imagine an Attack on Titan Magic set or a I don't know, Full Metal Alchemist Magic set or something like that. Like some really popular Berserk Magic. Berserk. How have we not had a Berserk Magic set yet? That's like the perfect anime collab to do is Berserk Magic set. Like, come on, that'd be sick.
Naruto,
yeah, Naruto.
I mean, a lot of those sets that you're talking about, NIPs, have either had their own like full-on card game already,
yeah,
or they're part of another card game, or like Universes or something like that.
Yeah.
Or what are the other ones?
What's
the new one that came out?
There's Universes, there's Union Arena.
Union Arena is one of them, and then I mean most of them actually have their own like TCG.
Oh, Weiss
Schwartz. I mean, you've seen Ibex, or who brought it up? Yeah, Ibex brought it up too. Like a lot of sets, like for example, there is a full Middle Earth TCG, just like there is a full Final Fantasy TCG. Like there is an actual TCG for
Final Fantasy is still alive. I don't think Middle Earth is still alive. I think that's an old dead TCG. But it did have a TCG, that's for sure. But yeah, the Berserk, like could you imagine, Grimer, could you imagine a Guts Commander deck? It'd be so sick. Yeah, that'd be crazy. But yeah, Union Arena is really, really cool. I really like the cards. I really like all the IPs that they've gotten into. It's just I don't think it has like any supporters here in the US. Like I've never heard a single person at a Collecticon, at a show, at a card shop, like ever talk about Union Arena. Like,
I think it shows the fact that we're not holding Union Arena, even though the previous shop did.
yeah,
Like, it didn't make sense. I mean, I like anime, and I don't know. I wish it was there, but it just doesn't seem like the player base is there for the game.
yeah. And I love all of the. I mean, in Japan, they've done like a crazy amount of sets compared. Like they've had 2 years maybe of Japanese sets come out before they even started English. So they have all these different anime IPs like in the on the ready to come out in the US. Some of my favorite animes like Hunter x Hunter and some of those shows, and Attack on Titan has had a couple sets already. But yeah, I don't, obviously I can open them in Japanese and that would be fun, but opening them in English is just like,
it's very much like Son of a Merc just said. It's like it's more for the super fans, and I don't think people are there for the game. I think they're more there for just the card of the person that they want from an anime. So you start getting into like specific of the specific. This is all I'm looking for type thing, and you're not holding on to that crowd.
I do wonder if in Japan, if Union Arena is doing better, like if people are playing it in Japan, or if it's just completely dead over there too. And yeah, I've sold a couple of Union Arena cards, like PSA 10s of like Mikasa gold etched autograph PSA 10s or whatever that sell for a few $100. It's like, that's cool. But at the same time, it's like, if there's no player base for it, how long does it actually last? You know? But they've made like 20 sets probably in Japan at this point, and it hasn't died yet. So I wonder if there's more going on over there that's keeping it alive.
I don't know. I don't think I'm enough into that community to speak on it, but at the end of the day, I mean, people want what they want.
Yeah.
But at least for us, in terms of a shop, it just doesn't seem like the crowd's there for people to want to buy those boxes. So we won't hold them.
Yeah, I actually mass ripped. Usually, well, not mass ripped, like a case of each, but the Universus Attack on Titan sets, the first two, and those are really cool because I never read the manga, but the cards are all artworks from the manga panels, not from the anime. So it's really cool to like open the card and be like, oh yeah, that's when this happened. But it's all like sketched out and drawn like from the actual manga artist. Yeah, I really enjoyed opening all those. I don't have anything at the ready to show, but yeah, it's super cool. So
yeah, I mean, I'll be opening some of the, probably ordering from distro for myself, some of the League of Legends card like boxes that come out, and that'll be fully just me buying them, not the store or anything, just because I've played League of Legends for longer than I want to admit, and still do casually.
That's from Universus as well, right?
That one I don't actually know. I thought it was its own thing, but maybe it is. I didn't even look that much into it. I was just like, oh, it's League of Legends.
I think Universus is also putting out a solo leveling set as well, which would be pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I think it's just its own TCG. It's called Riftbound, I think.
Interesting. Okay. Challenger Series solo leveling. I don't know what that is, but seems interesting.
But yeah.
Okay. Well, I think we probably wrap it up there. I appreciate you coming by, Benji, and please let the people know where they can support you again. Guys, make sure to take a look up at the top of the chat to the pinned comment. But Benji, if you want to, let people know where they can support you.
Generally, right now, our only presence that would be online would be mostly just our Instagram at Community Cards MA, and there we're just posting what we have in the shop and everything like that. But we'll slowly open up into the other stuff. Appreciate you having me, though.
Yeah, of course. Guys, definitely check out the Instagram. And I'm sure if you're in the Massachusetts area, you'll probably run into Benji at a local show. at some
Probably.
point. And definitely support the store. Sounds like they'll eventually get some online shopping set up. Have that run in soon so that we can support them. But yeah, guys, I hope you had a good time. Tomorrow, I think I'm chatting with Ray from Shiny Cards and Collectibles, so should be a fun chat as well. Thank you guys very much. We'll see you next time. Bye bye.